SpaceX Starlink's explosive growth, with revenue nearly tripling in 2 years, reaching up to $8.2 billion in 2024. Analysts predict it could surpass $12 billion in 2025, generating $2 billion in free cash flow. With 4.6 million subscribers and rapid expansion across consumer, government, and commercial markets, Starlink is poised for further dominance. However, Elon Musk's political influence poses risk, with potential backlash in international market, as seen in Ontario's threatened canceled $100 million contract. I want to welcome you to episode 1796, coming to this Monday, February 3rd. I'm your host, Todd Cochran, ready to deliver your tech news and information fix. A quick shout out to our incredible sponsor at GoDaddy. Explore exclusive deals and discounts at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. And to all of our fantastic listeners, you are the heartbeat of the show. If you want to support the GNC mission, head to geeknewscentral.com/insider and become a G Insider. We are live and lit thanks to modern podcast apps. Don't just listen, experience the show live by grabbing a modern podcast app at podcastapps.com. And while you're at it, check out the full Geek News Central universe at geeknewscentral.com, where you'll find all our partner shows, tons of content, and more tech goodness. Stay in the loop, follow or subscribe via your favorite podcast app, and join the community. Don't forget to sign up for the newsletter for even more insider scoops. And if you have something to say, of course, join the conversation at geeknews.chat or email me directly at geeknews@gmail.com. You can hit me up on X, and of course, you can even catch me on Facebook. Of course, we want to thank our sponsor, and before I get into tonight's, you guys knocked it out of the ballpark in January. Bravo for coming in big. We had a great month in January, and GoDaddy allows me to do here what I continue to do. And right now, I want you to be assured these exclusive savings at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy are available and ready for you to get involved. And again, if you want to start a website or a podcast, it's very, very simple. All you got to do is go to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy and pick up the economy hosting for just $6.99 a month. That's a full year of hosting with a free domain name, professional email, and an SSL certificate. Of course, grab or click the promo code for WordPress fans. You can get WordPress hosting for just $12.99 a month, which includes free domain, professional email, and again, the SSL certificate for the full year. If you need a domain name, don't worry. Get yours for just $11.99. And if you're testing the water, try GoDaddy's website builder free for a month. Again, it's a free 30-day trial on personal business or business plus plans. Again, I use all the GoDaddy products and services, and your support keeps this podcast alive. Use our code, save money, and back this independent team of creators. Continue to back this team of creators. Share my details with your friends and family, because every time a code is used, it supports Geek News Central. Thank you for keeping us online and going strong. And again, get the latest deals at geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Couple of great months, and it really helps the show in a big way. Just spectacular. Again, thanks to all of you that supported the sponsor this past month. Was just absolutely thrilled. Got the information on Friday. So keep it rolling. Keep sharing the codes. This is kind of the analysis I've been doing and figuring out where the usage is coming from. And a lot of it's because you guys are sharing the codes online. So thank you so much. Hey, pretty busy weekend. Just really buckled down, took care of 2 or 3 projects I had, working on taxes. It is absolutely, I don't know about the rest of you, but I hate it. I hate getting the taxes around. It's my most non-enjoyable thing of the year by far. The PayPal statement is the hardest one to deal with. I can handle my credit cards, I handle the bank account, but the way PayPal does the transactions and how you export and break everything out, oh, there's like 3 transactions for every transaction. And you got to make sure, okay, that was the thing that came in. This is say, okay, this is what we're going to do, and this is the final. So you can get in real big trouble in a hurry by having double entries. Anybody a PayPal expert? How do you get just a simple list of transactions of what went out and what went in? Where is that single line transaction report on PayPal? If anybody knows, clue me in. Save a brother some pain and misery. It's just drives me insane. It really, really does. But anyway, hey, thanks you're here. Thanks for those of you that are coming in live. Thanks for being here and again, thank you so much. If you are live, make sure you say hello, check in. We definitely appreciate that when you do. Got a good lineup of stuff tonight for the show. Got a new surprise for you tonight. We're trying something different. It's a new partner of ours at Blueberry Podcasting. I'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. But, I've said this before, and people are starting to kind of catch on, is that even though they estimate that this previous 2004, that SpaceX and Starlink essentially had about $200 million in profit for the year, even with all the rocket launches and everything else, say about $200 million. But with the growth of subscribers now, they say it could be as high as $2 billion in 2025 in profit. Now, Starlink, SpaceX is a privately held company, and one is not necessarily connected to the other, but it's all part of the machine over there. It's been a lifesaver here for me, for sure. And I think you all know that. Wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing now with the old connection that I have. I've actually invested in another dish. I was having some problems with my one. Seems to be whatever was wrong. It kind of, so anyway, I got 2 dishes now. We're going to split up some of the task, which basically when the bandwidth is super tight, I won't have such a problem. Yeah, it comes at a price for sure, but I'm still paying less now than I was paying for one business connection in the old studio. And in hindsight, in May of last year, I was pretty devastated to lose the studio. And there was much peril in the things that had to happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I still wish I had the studio and the 2 additional bays and all the stuff that I could do there, that really I'm semi-limited here. And I'm starting to think about things that I was doing in the other studio that I can maybe, because, I'm a batch here, it's not like I have to have things looking like it would for a family home. So I'm going to be thinking about some additional stuff, the different positions to do demos and that type of stuff. So in hindsight, definitely a little bit of a positive too, because I recovered a bunch of money monthly for not being in the other office. Well, $3,000 about a month with everything all included. So this is quite, this is obviously much more efficient. So a little more for internet is not bad. But if you were thinking about a Starlink antenna, there'll be a link in the show notes. You by using that link will basically get me a free month of service. So don't be afraid to use that link if you're thinking about picking up a Starlink antenna for yourself of any type of mobile or whatever. Moving on to a completely different topic here. The first approved iPhone porn app is coming to Europe. The Hot Tub adult content browser is launching on Alt Store. So the first app approved is on an alternative iOS app marketplace that was basically because of EU rulings that now you can, those in Europe have access to a secondary store. AltStore PAL developer Riley Testut says that Hot Tub, which described as an ad-free adult content browser, has made it through Apple's notarization review for fraud, security threats, and functionality, and will be available to AltStore PAL users in the EU to download starting today. We know that Apple bans overtly sexual or pornographic material on its own iOS store, but Apple spokesperson Peter Ajimin emailed the statement to The Verge saying, "We're deeply concerned about the safety risks that hardcore porn apps of this type create for EU users, especially kids. This app and others like it will undermine consumer trust and confidence in our ecosystem that we've worked for more than a decade to make the best in the world. Contrary to false statements made by the marketplace developer, we certainly do not approve of this app and would never offer in our app store. The truth is that we are required by the EU, European Commission, to allow it to be distributed by marketplace operators like AltStore and Epic, who may not share our concerns for user safety." Now, say what you will. You may not be a fan of porn. You may be a fan of porn. But you know that if you are in the United States, Canada, and almost anywhere else, if you want to consume that kind of content, you have to do that through a browser. There is no apps available. And so it doesn't hinder access, I am sure. But if an app is available, I'm sure a lot of people would use an app. So, but what it shows to all of us, and again, it's often led by the worst, is that Apple doesn't get their way all the time. And this alternative store gives app developers lots of opportunities to launch products that Apple would not necessarily allow. So, in my opinion, this move is pretty awesome for those of you that are in the EU. Now, what I would ask of our EU listeners is, what else are you seeing on these alternate app stores? What kind of apps are over there? What else makes you raise your eyebrows that you would not normally see on Apple's App Store? Love to hear your feedback. geeknews@gmail.com. Shopify announced today upgrades to its platform with 150 changes, but they say most of them are so subtle you really won't tell. But they released a slew of updates, and of course Shopify has recently made these changes. In an in-depth blog published in mid-December, the company said the update is boring since the changes are mostly small. The Shopify checkout should now be faster as the cart infrastructure was optimized to boost load speeds. Furthermore, checkout blocks are now available for all plans for customized thank you pages, and chat apps are now integrated into the checkout. So, Shopify. Do you shop on Shopify very much? We'll talk about Shopify a little bit more here a little later in the show. Prime Video just launched another new exclusive streaming bundle. You can get Stars and BET Plus for less. Stars and BET Plus is available for $15.99 a month. So the offer is available as of today and can be found on Prime Video in the United States, where subscribers will see the option to sign up for Stars and BET Plus. Again, available for $15.99 a month. My kitty cat is walking around here. He's not perfectly good. I'm worried about him. He's eating and processing, but he's just not acting good. I've ordered him some new older kitty cat wet food, because I give him the wet food, he always chomp down and he's just licking the juice and leaving, what is left. Any of you have run into a cat that's had this issue before? I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with him. It's just a little weird. Sadly, we've had a spate of aircraft accidents. The situation, obviously, tragedy in Washington, D.C., situation, I believe, in Pittsburgh with the air ambulance. Had a United flight that landed with an engine fire, which caused everyone to go off the slide. But now they're saying falling space debris is a growing worry for aircraft. News research pointed out that risk is rising due to increase in both re-entries and airline flights. Uncontrolled space debris are of a growing concern. Recently, the FAA required SpaceX to perform a mishap investigation loss of their Starship vehicle during the private firm's launch. We know that there's a bunch of Starship 7 leftovers that dumped into the Atlantic near Turks and Caicos Islands, with some debris being found on land. Now, there definitely was a situation where they activated a debris response area and slowed aircraft down and did some diversion. But those aircraft requested to divert due to low fuels while holding outside the impacted areas. So, aircraft that are on specific routes these days, they don't want to carry too much fuel. They don't want to carry too much food either. They carry just enough fuel to get to their site with their divert minimum. Why? Fuel adds weight. Weight adds less efficiency. So that's one of the reasons. So aircraft aren't just flying around with a whole bunch of excess fuel. They have enough to get to a divert, often one or maybe sometimes two, depending on the flight route. But if you have to hold and can't land it at your primary or your secondary, it's a problem. And obviously these events should not be too long. You think about stuff falling from space, but it could be 20 or 30 minutes. There would be a hold. So anyway, it's a growing worry. I think we're going to see a lot more of this over time. But I know that they try to do controlled re-entries when they can. China has created rocket fuel in orbit with just carbon dioxide, water, and electricity. Now, they did not state how much oxygen and ethylene was produced by this artificial photosynthesis technology. And but it's important. Space is the only place where rocket fuel could be more precious than water. But how much stuff do you have to take up to create enough to make a difference? I think that probably the process on the ground is well enough known that some sorts of calculations could be made. I don't know. But it's curious that they didn't give any details, because was it an ounce, a gallon, how much, and, what was the inputs to get where, and how much energy requirements. None of that was really forthcoming. So obviously, if you've been living in a cave, you haven't heard about all these tariffs that are being proposed. But big tech, according to the folks over at The Verge, have been silent on the president's new tariffs. Of course, we know that both Mexico and Canada got a 30-day reprieve today. Basically, Mexico said they're going to do X, Y, and Z, and Canada said, hey, we want some time to talk. So, the stock market was all over the place today and recovered. I hate to say it, but do people not understand that the current administration is playing chess and not checkers? They're thinking 10 steps ahead. Is it going to work all the way through? Who knows? We'll see. But it sure has been an interesting tactic. And they whacked China today, I guess, with another 10%. They already had a pretty big one already. But something, you got to hurt the wallet to be able to slow down this fentanyl issue that's coming out of China for sure. NetChoice is sued to block Maryland's kids code, saying it violates the First Amendment. The tech industry group has successfully sued to block other such regulations from taking effect. Now, NetChoice filed its 10th lawsuit against internet regulations. And they are one of the most fiercest and most successful opponent of age verification. moderation, and design code laws, all of which would put new obligations on tech platforms and change how users experience the internet. And so they've successfully argued landmark Supreme Court cases over attempted bans on internet moderation, resulting in a ruling that content moderation is protected by First Amendment, a precedent that become useful in its other cases. So basically, NetChoice's latest suit opposes Maryland age-appropriate design code that echoes a California law of a similar name. In the California litigation, NetChoice notched a partial win in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, which upheld the district court's decision to block a part of the law requiring platforms to file reports about their services impact to kids. See, here's the problem I have with all of these laws. And I want you all to weigh on this. Until a child in the United States turns 18, they're my responsibility to make sure that they are not accessing content or sites that I want them to. Is it a perfect situation? Give me your phone, unlock it? No. But it's pretty good when you can look at your kid's phone, go through the text, go through their apps. They're not going to like it. But this is our job as parents, to make sure our kids are not on platforms that we don't approve. They try to put legislation in to make tech companies the babysitter. I don't want to be a babysitter. It's your kid. You be the babysitter of your kids. Why do you say you? What do you think? Do you think I'm right? Think I'm wrong? You know, where do you guys lay on this issue? Moving on, Uber wants to make riding with a service animal easier. My niece goes everywhere with her service animal. But ride-hail companies developed a new feature after consulting with disability advocates. For years, Uber policies towards service animals have been in accordance with state and federal law. They're allowed to ride at all times at no extra cost. But now the company is allowing customers to self-identify as owners of a service animal in order to give drivers more visibility when to expect a furry companion, or would they turn them down? The new feature also includes a warning to drivers to avoid canceling rides or discriminating against customers with service animals. The new feature is developed for the past 2 years. So I guess you can do this now. Now, the challenge with service animals is the law's murky. And this is why sometimes you see people with a service pig or whatever the type of service animal it is. So it's tough on the handicapped folks and stuff, that people that need a service animal legitimately. And sad that some people abuse it in regards to, just having a way to get their pet on an airplane for free. And I don't know if service animals you have to pay or not. I don't know the rules on that. But, I've seen service animals that are very good. They're very trained. They come in, they sit down at their owner's feet and behave. But I've seen some service animals that are absolutely not trained as well. So it kind of goes both ways here. NASA pauses work of science groups citing Trump executive orders. So basically a bunch of meetings have been canceled as they sort things out. Analysis groups and assessment groups are currently on hold until they go through the process here. I expect that to be resolved relatively quickly. Now, Space.com and other sites have been talking about this catapult launch system and how they launch satellites into space without rocket fuel. And it's basically a big boomerang spin launch. And I guess they've had some successful launches. They've conducted multiple successful test launches at its facility in New Mexico. The company has demonstrated that its systems can repeatedly function as expected. They completed 10 launches within just 11 months. But they'll say here that you're never going to launch a human this way because you will die. because of the G counts. They don't talk about how many Gs it is. But one of the biggest hurdles ensuring that satellites can survive the extreme G forces is this thing is building up speed. And they also say it's limited payload size, but it's fantastic for optimizing for smaller satellites. But I just, you how many Gs is it? You got to build for 20 Gs, 25 Gs, 40 Gs. And the more Gs you have to build for, the heavier the device becomes because of the reinforcement you have to do. So these things don't crush each other, but it is kind of an interesting technology. And I'm sure someday that rotator arm will have some sort of catastrophic failure and we'll have a very interesting video to watch. But for now, it's been very, very successful in at least the launches that they have done to date. NASA warns that 3 giant asteroids will skim past Earth today. They may be already by. One of them is coming within 77,000 miles. And it has not had a close encounter with Earth since 2013. The other 2 are, how far are they out? 396,000 miles and 680,000 miles. So not that close, but 3 are pretty close. 1 is pretty close, 77,000 miles, which in horseshoes, I guess that you're not even going to get a point. Call of Duty studio co-founder has pled guilty to crashing a drone into a California firefighting aircraft. Peter Tripp Ackman has avoided jail and will pay Super Scooper repair costs and is ordered to help with LA's wildfire recovery. This Culver City, California resident admitted crashing his drone into a Super Scooper. He pled guilty. His guilty plea spares him up to a year in prison. He pled guilty to 1 count of unsafe operation of an unmanned aircraft, a misdemeanor. He has been ordered to pay 150 hours of community service. And boy, when he gets the bill for the repair costs, which is expected to be around $65,000, and lost flight time, and the lost help and spread of fires, maybe he should just be required to pay $1 million or more. There should be a bigger fine than just the repair cost. So anyway, he got off very, very, very light. I'm sure he had a very good lawyer, and of course, Call of Duty. I'm sure he's made lots of money on that. So how many of you are hardcore grilling folks out there? Have you heard about the Kamado Joe? Kamado Joe debuts the Big Joe Connected Joe. Boy, that's a mouthful. Big Joe Connected Joe, a larger, smart charcoal grill. It's only $3,000. Yes, a charcoal grill, $3,000. Now, I'll be honest with you. I bought I think Weber, Kohler, Weber. I can't remember. I spent a lot of money for a charcoal grill years ago. And it ended up rusting out in 2 or 3 years. I would never pay big money ever again for a grill. Having been in the Philippines and see how people grill, your grill doesn't have to cost nothing at all. You just need a plate, a grill, a plate with, wired plate. That's all you need. That's all you need. But I will tell you about an investment, and I think I mentioned it on one of the previous shows. This handheld bidded sprayer set from probably some Chinese company, AROFA. Ladies and gentlemen, ladies, you want to buy your significant other a good Valentine's Day present? This is it. The handheld bidet sprayer set. Now, some of you may be lucky enough to have a bidet. Maybe you've got a Japanese toilet that will, how should we say, wash your bottom. This for $20 is absolutely, unequivocally, the best investment and upgrade for your bathroom. A lot of people throughout the world are quite dismayed at Americans and our excessive use of TP. This solves all of that. I will just say, this is the most refreshing product I have bought in many, many years. For some reason, I ordered two. I only needed one. Takes a whopping 5 minutes to install, and it's quite refreshing. And that's all I'm going to say about that. Handheld bidet sprayer soap. I got mine on Amazon. They're pretty universal. They hook to your tank. Got a little switch valve. You got to check it out. No, I don't need a $3,000 grill, and I bought a $20-some bidet. Much, much, much better investment for Valentine's Day. Casio website. Another thing that's good about it, if you need to spray the bowl down, you can spray the bowl down. Works great for that situation as well. We'll just leave it at that. Casio website infected with skimmer. A threat actor has infected the website of Casio UK and 16 other victims with a web skimmer that altered payment flow to harvest and exfiltrate visitors' information, web security provider JS Scrambler reports. So this happened between January 14th and January 24th, and it was removed last week immediately after being discovered. What sets this incident apart was that the web skimmer was active on all pages except for the checkout page, which is a typical target for information stealers. So pretty scary stuff, all this out there that continues. Hey, I do want to thank our insiders. Of course, I want to thank Roger Nash for his $2 sustaining donation and Richard Woodworth for his $10.41 Warrior donation. Thank you, gentlemen, for your support. And also looking at the live streamers, the same characters, Chad F, Silas, Darren Schwartz. You're all been streaming the show. No new boost, though. Nobody's boosted the show in a while. So send a boost. Use one of those new modern podcast apps. Please consider that at podcastapps.com. So tonight, you guys are going to hate me a little bit, but we partnered up at Blueberry with a new company called Code ADX, and it allows me to look at Shopify stores and specifically bring to you offers on a variety of Shopify stores. I've got 2 or 3 picked out already. I've got something for the men, something for the ladies, something for the group that you may want to take a checkout. And if you purchase anything, I get obviously a reward for doing so. And tonight, if you're tired of bulky wallets and jangling keys, meet Distill. Distill Union, where sleek design meets problem-solving essentials. Distill Union's Wally wallets keep your cards and cash secure with slim profiles and innovative magnetic closures. No bulk, no hassle, and their fairest modular key organizer. Magnetic snaps everything neatly together so you'll never fumble with a messy key ring again. Crafted from premium full-grain leather and built to last, these everyday carry essentials blend durability with minimalistic style. And here's the best part. I've locked in the highest discount. This discount's not available for anywhere else. You cannot find a better discount. This is the kicker. You get 20% off any product at Distill, D-I-S-T-I-L, union.com, where you can use the promo code Geek News at checkout. Upgrade your carry, simplify your life with Distill Union. Link will be in the show notes. So, again, new opportunity for you to support the show without having to pay a donation and be able to pick up a product or service that might fit something that you're looking for. So definitely check the link up in the show notes for sure. So has the rush to upgrade to Windows 11 just begun? New stats show a market uptick as Windows 10 end of life looms in 2025. So Windows 11 has gained 2.5% market share in January alone. That's a sizable uptick that usually takes 2 months. Expect the pace of upgrades to increase as the October 2025 end-of-life deadline for Windows 10 comes near. Samsung is also Samsung leaders. You know, this family has got a pile, P-I-L-E, pile of cash. But the Samsung leader has been cleared of fraud charges after winning an appeal. He's been facing legal issues for over 8 years. I mean, it just went back and forth. People have gotten imprisoned over the years. So again, South Korea's highest court early on Monday upheld an earlier decision acquitting Lee of stock manipulation, accounting fraud charges over a 2015 merger. The ruling will allow Lee to focus on Samsung's mobile and chip business. The prosecution can still appeal to the Supreme Court, but that would be unlikely to succeed since new arguments could be presented. So this has been going on for a while here. You know, in Vietnam, you do something bad, you know what they do? They execute you. They love executing rich people that do bad things. Happens all the time. Now, I did not watch the Grammys last night. I heard a little bit of controversy about someone showing up half naked, but AI won the Beatles a Grammy 55 years after they broke up. The demo for Now and Then got by with a little help from a large language model. If you don't know what happened there, they were able to split John Lennon's voice from his acoustics to be able to master this. And they use all the original members, put in original music. So they just use the LLM to break out the voice from the music. So pretty interesting. Again, they won a Grammy. 1 million have been infected by a data breach at Connecticut healthcare provider Community Health Center. Again, another company is notifying over 1 million individuals that personal information was compromised. All of our information has been compromised 3 or 4 times a year. It just goes on and on and on. Paragon spyware campaign targeting journalists disrupted by WhatsApp. WhatsApp said Paragon deployed spyware targeting journalists. The spyware in question belongs to Paragon, the commercial spyware company founded by former Israeli intelligence officers, which Meta-owned WhatsApp is directly implicated in the campaign. WhatsApp says about 90 of its users were targeted with malicious PDF files, with the victims being notified of the attempt and cease and desist letters being issued to Paragon, and they've been caught targeting journalists. So, what journalists did they target? So, one would wonder, what the name of those folks are. Apple's Watch Series 11, everything we need to know. What's in store for Apple's next smartwatch? Well, the successor to the Apple Watch Series 10, while Apple hasn't said anything about it officially yet and won't do so before the device, there are some leaks. And what is going to be the kicker here? September launch. They're just talking about the launch date. They haven't talked about what is going to happen with the watch. They're not talking about blood glucose or anything. This is the stupidest article of the night. Tech Radar. That was clickbait, and I got clickbaited. Aston Martin has a bright idea to make EVs more exciting to drive, but it's not what you think. Now, how many of you as a kid, probably, of course, the ladies had toys that made noises, right? And guys, too. We had cars that went rum, 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 rum. Well, rather than rely on fake engine noises, outer space soundtracks, or even synthesized gear shift, Aston Martin CEO feels that building physical vibrations into future vehicles could help create a better emotional connection between customer and their otherwise silent machines. He says a recent drive of Mercedes AMG EQS led to the light bulb moment. As he said, the car physically resonates without the need for a fake gear shift or engine noise. Building on the idea, Hallmark claims that by mapping the telemetry of the V12 engine found in a Valkyrie, measuring the frequency and building those into the body structure of the vehicle, it would replicate the feeling of being a 12-cylinder car. So I've often said, and I know from years and years of flying, that your brain tells you one thing, but your butt tells you another. In this instance, they want to vibrate the vehicle and you feel it in your okole, in your butt, and you have a different experience with the vehicle. Instead of getting a fake room. BR guy says, I have one bidet and was apprehensive years ago, but will never be without one now. Yes, refreshing. Don't be afraid of it, fellas. Once you go bidet and use a bidet, you'll never go back. Despite Australia's strict social media ban for minors, a YouTube exemption poses risk. Australia's government carved out an exemption for YouTube and it passed laws banning social media access for children under 16. But some mental health and extremism experts say the video sharing website exposes them to addictive and harmful content. Okay, they shouldn't have carved out the exception. They really should not have. So, if you are a podcaster or thinking about becoming a podcaster, you know that you can get started through the promo code I have on the website. You too have the opportunity to immediately engage and make money with your podcast through Blueberry. Work hard to take care of creators. I hope you consider, if you're thinking about a podcast, coming over to our site of the fence and participating. Relatively short show today. It's just kind of that way. I didn't dig any deeper than what Kirk had dug out, and hopefully I didn't miss anything too important out there, because I usually take a ponder and look around and see if anything catches my fancy. But thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of the family. Again, thank you if you're resounding, knocking it out of the ballpark in January for GoDaddy. Really sets a year straight in a good way. So thank you so much. Other than that, those of you that are insiders, thank you for continued support of the show. I promise I'm not just going to load you guys up with a whole bunch of additional ads. I'm not going to hammer you too much. We got to take care of GoDaddy. But I will bring you some deals for the fellas and the ladies and stuff for you to take out and give you an opportunity to come back over to geeknewscentral.com and check out the offers. And if it's something you're interested in, great. If not, great. It's fine. But I own a couple of things from the company already, and that's one of the reasons why I promoted them. So everyone, hey, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being part of the Ohana. Again, if you have comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com. I'm at Geek News on X. Of course, I can be found on Facebook as we wait for Facebook OG so we can see each other again. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll be back with you on Thursday for another edition of the Geek News Central podcast as we do the march to 1800. Exciting. It's right around the corner. Everyone, thanks. Take care. We'll